Hello, and welcome to this installment of ASEC Conversations. Today, we are pleased to have with us Andrea Williams, Chief Operating Officer for the College Football Playoff. At this point, I'll turn it over to our host, Ashley Hammett. Ashley?
Hello, thank you for joining us today. So, growing up in a military family meant that you often change hometowns and schools. You've said that these moves were instrumental in your ability to adapt and deal with different people. Will you please expand on these thoughts for us?
So when people ask me about myself, where I'm from, I always will say I claim San Antonio, Texas, instead of that's where I'm from, just because my dad's retired Air Force. We moved around a lot to a lot of incredible places, but because of that, I had the unique opportunity to meet so many different people across all walks of life. And it was really enjoyable. And actually, it's pretty funny. The question I get a lot from a lot of people that I interact with is, was it difficult to move around every 2 to 3 years, which meant, learning new schools, having new teachers, getting new coaches, making new friends. And I don't think it certainly was easy. However, if you don't know anything else, and that is just how you live, I think it's easy to accept. But looking back on it, I'm so grateful for those experiences because I think it has led to where I am today and the ability to move around and work with different people and live in different places. And so I think I really was the beneficiary of being a military brat.
It seems that the transient life also helped your professional life. A member of Sweet 16 teams in volleyball and basketball at Texas A&M, you had no desire to play after college, but you knew that you wanted to remain involved in sports. What were your aspirations for jobs at that time in your life?
Sure, and it probably wasn't a decision that I didn't want to play. I probably knew I wasn't good enough to continue to play professionally. I knew the limitations, Ashley. But sports has really been part of the fabric of my family. My brother and my sister played collegiate athletics. My brother played football at the University of Richmond. My sister played basketball at the Air Force Academy. And so really coming up after them, it was one of those things where you just thought that that was normal, that you went to school and got your education paid for through playing sports. I mean, isn't that what everybody does? And I probably had a false sense of security by having such successful siblings to grow up after. But my dad was very clear early on when we were young, and he's like, you're going to pay for your education. That can be academic, it can be athletic, whatever your talents are, but you're going to do it. And it was pretty clear early on it was not going to be academic, and I'm okay with that. But really it was a really great opportunity to play sports in college. One of the things that I make sure that I do whenever I get the opportunity to speak to groups or talk about my experiences in college is to recognize all of those individuals who worked so hard on my behalf. When I was a snot-nosed kid and playing at A&M, I didn't know what the athletic director did. I didn't know what the responsibilities of the senior woman administrator or even the ticket takers that are at the stadium. You show up, your uniform's in your locker room, the music's playing, the balls are on the court, and you just go. But for me, I didn't truly understand all the work that was going in on my behalf and to ensure that I had a positive experience in college. And so certainly it was fun. It was great, got a free education out of it. But I think that's what introduced me into college athletics and really started to put me on my path towards administration in sports. And it took a little while to get there. And even now, if I get the opportunity, I will go back and I will apologize to any of my coaches or administrators, whatever heartache that I provided to you when I was an 18 to 22-year-old. I'm sorry about that. I hope that I've matured and grown since then. But just so many people behind the scenes make sure that student athletes have a great opportunity. And certainly if it hadn't been for growing up in a military family or sports being such a big part of our lives, I don't think that I would be where I am today.
Eastern Washington Athletic Director and Kansas State Athletics Hall of Famer Lynn Hickey was your basketball coach at Texas A&M. She said that you gave indications of greatness then and that you had the work ethic, ability, and resilience to do some really special things. Have you remained close to her and gotten any advice from her through your many stages of career development?
I think someone may have forced her to say those things, but for sure, she has been a mentor for me for almost 3 decades, and that's pretty special. So, I've known, and it's even hard. It's hard for me to even call her Lynn. I still call her Coach Hickey, and I've known her since I was 17 years old, and that's incredible to have a relationship that long. But our relationship has evolved. It evolved from a young teenager that she was trying to recruit to go to a school to play a sport, to being a coach. At the same time, while she was at A&M, she was one of the senior administrators, so she was in a dual role of coaching and on the administration side, and then went on to be the athletic director in San Antonio, which again is another connection point because that's my hometown. And so I was so proud of UTSA putting her in that position. She had the opportunity to start football, something that I think from a D1 standpoint was so important to my hometown. So that was just another way of us having something in common. And so she was a mentor. She always was a sounding board in terms of what I was doing in my career, or if I ever needed professional advice, she was always available to me. And then our relationship just continued to blossom from there. And then even beyond that, when she took the Eastern Washington position as the athletic director there, I was the commissioner of the Big Sky at the time. And so imagine that whole world just evolving and reconnecting in that way. And I remember the first meeting of our athletic directors when she had joined, we were going through a topic and having a discussion. And as soon as she said, Andrea, like I had that immediate reaction to her. I need to get on the line and run sprints. Like it was just hearing that powerful name, it takes you back. But it's been something special, and I'm so proud of her career and what she's done and how she's been able to transition from being an athlete to a coach to administrator to a leader on campus. And so she is one of the many women out there that we aspire to be like. And she inspires us to make sure that we are not only doing our best in our respective roles, but helping others and reaching back and bringing others along just like she did.
Speaking of the Big Sky Conference, what were your thoughts when selected as the first African-American female commissioner for the conference?
Blown away, Ashley. Just absolutely blown away. I think one of the interesting things in 2016, you hope that you have fewer firsts. That people of gender and different races have the equal opportunities to be in leadership positions. And so although I wore that badge with a lot of pride, and I knew that it was representative of so much more than me, in 2016, I should not have been the first. There were, tons of individuals and strong Black women who came before me that certainly were deserving of being in that position. And so I'm grateful for it. My time with the Big Sky has probably been my most favorite and fun of being an administrator and working in sports. Their leadership on campus, whether it was their presidents to their athletic directors to working with their coaches and having unique relationships with the student athletes at the FCS level, just a little bit more connectivity. It was really special. And I certainly was, I was so just thankful for the experience. And even beyond that, just the community. The Big Sky is in Utah, just outside of Salt Lake. And my neighbors were incredible. They adopted me as soon as I moved in, and I miss it. And every opportunity I get, I'm talking to my extended family in Utah and even going back to visit. So the Big Sky is really a special place.
You're a prime example of your director, Bill Hancock's position to our executive director. It doesn't matter what gender or race or background you are. It's important to get the right people in the right positions. Have you ever felt disadvantaged regarding your profession because of your race or gender?
I think being disadvantaged can be looked at a couple of different ways. And I just wanted to go back very quickly. You mentioned Bill Hancock, who is our executive director for the College Football Playoff. He is one of many role models that I've had, and leaders and organizations I've had. Jim Delaney, the former commissioner of the Big Ten, is another who really put an emphasis on people, hiring the right people to do their jobs and allow them to do it successfully and provide them with support. And so for me, I've been very fortunate to have individuals like that who want to surround themselves with the best, with the individuals who are out there who can help direct an organization, who can help elevate an organization to be the best in whatever business that is. And so for me as a leader, you try and pick up those great best practices from others that we have the opportunity to visit with. And it's great when you have individuals who just aren't looking to have people around them that look like them or think like them or talk like them, but people that are going to have different experiences, different perspectives, different backgrounds that they can lend to the operations of any organization. And so I've been pretty fortunate to be around people who think like that and who've given me opportunities. And so I think it's just so important that we pay it forward and provide those same opportunities for others.
You've had a remarkable career this far in your life. When chosen to be the Chief Operating Officer of the College Football Playoff event, what was the first thing you did to prepare yourself for that challenge?
I would like to think I was preparing before then. When it was announced, I believe in 2012, that we're moving from the BCS era to the College Football Playoff, I was at the Big Ten Conference, and it was no secret that I wanted to be part of the College Football Playoff. I didn't know what that looked like. I didn't know if that opportunity would ever present itself, but that's where I wanted to be. And so I actually had the opportunity to serve as a volunteer. So I was on the stadium operations team that would come in the week of the championship game and lend support to the full-time CFP staff. Beyond that, I was asked to serve on the CFP advisory committee, which allowed us to give input from a conference and institutional level back to the CFP in terms of the operations that they're doing for postseason. And so technically I was just loitering. I was hanging out with the CFP people, just trying to find any way to be a part of it, even though it wasn't full time. And so when the opportunity did present itself in 2018 to join the staff, I was just elated and just could not have been just more excited about the opportunity, and just was honored to serve in the role. Michael Kelly, who went on to be an athletic director to D1 institution, was in the position before me and just grew this event and the game from nothing and started something fresh. And that's pretty exciting. And so, I'm humbled to follow in his footsteps and to be on Bill Hancock's leadership team. And our staff is just incredible. Wonderful people who really are the best at what they do. And so I've been hanging out for a little while, so I think eventually they just gave up and just offered me a full-time job.
Could you walk us through your typical work schedule, November through January each year?
It's a little bit of a blur, and I'm glad that you asked. I probably need to write it down so I can keep up with it all. But really, November, our focus is on our selection committee and the rankings. We are dialed into our upcoming future host city and site, and working with our host committee and the stadium and the community partners there, in addition to those 4 teams that are selected for the college football playoff. And so really that November, December, January is that sweet spot to hopefully finalize any of your planning, getting everything organized to where once we hit the road, hit the streets, once we get to the host city, we're ready. And so, there's still a lot going on. We're still working with other bowls, we're working with other future sites, but really that November to January is really focused on the upcoming championship game.
Do you and your family postpone Christmas until after the championship game so you can avoid distraction and celebrate later?
I think our family has come to terms with not celebrating holidays anymore, whether it's Thanksgiving or the Christmas holiday. It's tough, and as I mentioned earlier, my brother lives in San Diego. My sister just moved back to Texas. My folks are in San Antonio. So it's not often that we get a chance to all be together. So I think we find other ways to connect. When the championship game was in the Bay Area in 2019, my brother and my sister, along with my niece and nephew, came out to the game. And so that was our little mini holiday celebration. I remember back in 2011 for the inaugural Big Ten football championship game, my entire family came. And that was early December. And so I think we try to create opportunities to make those memories that aren't necessarily specific to the holidays. As you both know, when it comes to athletics, there are really no days off. You're working days, nights, weekends, holidays, and you make the best of what you have. But having said that, we're really blessed to do what we do and get to experience college athletics and be in this industry. So I hope folks don't feel bad for us for not necessarily getting holidays. It's worth it.
And then finally, as a part of the CFP Foundation, the Extra Yard for Teachers program, it has generated $38 million to aid teachers all over the country. Can you tell me about the program and the feedback you get from teachers, students, and the communities you serve?
College football playoff is a part of higher ed, and what we do is truly special, and we're so lucky to do it. What's really unique about the CFP is the fact that we do have the foundation, and it's an opportunity for us to provide support, recognition, resources to teachers. And now more than ever, we know how important what our teachers do and how they serve in the lives of their kids. And so the ability for us to have an impact on their daily lives and for us to be able to provide support to them in the classroom is pretty special. And so that's our part of giving back during the year, but also in any of our host cities. And so the ability to provide aspirations and inspiration to teachers and to their schools and to their students, it's a pretty great gift that we're able to be a part of. And they give so much to us that certainly we are the beneficiaries. And so the impact on students, the impact on the schools have been incredible. Some of the things that we're able to do are classroom makeovers. We hold special events for our teachers. Something that we do at the national championship game is we bring in the teacher of the year from every state, and we give them just a key to the city, and we create experiences with the college football playoff, whether that's parties or going to the game, and then even recognition on the field during pregame. And so that's our way of just saying thank you for their service and everything that they do for us, because everyone's touched by teachers.
Well, that's all the time we have today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much, Andrea. We certainly appreciate it. Congratulations to you for all your success, and that to the CFP and everything that you're doing across the country for our teachers and our communities. We appreciate your time today. And for those of you who tuned in, thank you again for joining us every Sunday at 3 p.m. We'll see you next time on ASEC Conversations.